This is Paul for Redneck Sports. I believe that everybody should win in life, or at least attempt to. The first three maxims of General Robert Neyland's game maxims, I believe apply to everybody. The team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. If at first the game or the breaks go against you, don't let up. Put on more steam. Welcome to the channel. Now let's discuss some sports. Like, subscribe, comment. Show what your opinion is. Let me know if you like what you've seen. And I thank you for your support. What in the world are the French thinking? For that matter, what's the International Olympic Committee thinking on how they're treating the athletes? Now, I'm not saying that athletes need to have all the treatment that they get, but why are you trying to starve the athletes? Why are you having them sleep on uncomfortable beds in uncomfortable temperatures? Okay, thankfully some of the countries can handle it, but seriously, this is some weirdness that they seriously need to examine as to what they are doing. I mean, seriously, this is some weirdness. And we're going to talk about that now. The first thing that is annoying the athletes, and these things are supposedly sturdy enough to handle 3 or 4 people, are the beds. These beds are made out of cardboard. They can be recycled easy afterwards, but people have already made comments about how difficult it is to sleep on these things, especially after they've just gotten done competing. And even an athlete that doesn't get hurt to the point they can't compete again are still going to be sore and whatnot, and sleeping on these beds are ridiculous. Now, thankfully, Americans, and I think part of it's the Olympic Committee from here in America, are sending, or it could just be individual athletes, are bringing these air conditioners for the beds. It blows cool air up under the beds because the temperatures in these rooms are already bad enough. And they are hard. So basically, yes, they can handle some weight, but they're just not made for athletes who are having to expend so much. Even the military doesn't do this to their people unless it's under certain circumstances, and then they get to go back to a nice bed. But during the time that you're doing your worst, you're having to go back to these beds. I mean, I can understand why people aren't wanting to stay in the Olympic Village because of these things. Now, the opening ceremonies haven't even began, and food is becoming a major issue. This is from Yahoo News. Adequate food supply and uncooked meat are among the concerns. Grilled chicken and eggs in particular are among the items in short supply. Now, they were talking about they were going to try to be primarily vegan at this thing. Which, okay, Paris Olympic officials attempted to offer more plant-based food in an effort to reduce the game's carbon footprint. This is already leading to athletes leaving the Olympic Village and going out on the town. Now, some of these folks probably won't be known by the folks around Paris, but I can guarantee you one thing: the prices were raised up because, hey, it's the Olympics. You're going to have millions of people showing up to go to Olympic events. So the prices have been raised, which is burdening these athletes, some of whom are in college here in America or in other nations. They don't have that kind of money. So they're having to eat food that is barely there for them. Hopefully this gets fixed over the next couple of days, because you've got an entire 2 weeks after. So it's 2.5 weeks, mind you, of the Olympics. You've got another 2 weeks. How can you feed people like this? French are supposed to be known for their food, but yeah, this isn't doing good for them. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about on how the French have just completely flubbed these Olympics is the air conditioning situation. Okay, I understand that air conditioning can be, that in the minds of a certain group of people, that air conditioning is so bad on the environment and all this stuff. But here's the situation. There are ways to design buildings so that they're naturally cooler and don't necessarily need all the air conditioning. So I bet that when they built these athletes' barracks for the village, that they didn't put this into consideration. I bet that they just built them in a way that it looks like every other. They barely put any thought into it. And now you have a situation in which these athletes are coming back from competing, and they're going to not be able to heal their body up in the way that the modern human body has been found that can heal up. So, yes, there are fans. You don't need air conditioning for everything, but these folks are going to need some break from everything. You can't go out on the town all the time. This is idiotic. Not to mention, if they had designed the buildings better, then nobody would pay attention to the fact that there aren't air conditioning, and this would be a great way for them to go, hey, and after we're done with the Olympic Village, we can reuse this for other reasons. But this is the French. They don't do anything that makes sense. The French right now are going through a political maelstrom. And that's the only way to describe it. There are any number of things that could be said about the politics, but this is Sports Channel. We're not going to discuss them. Other than the fact that, hey, the trains were just shut down, so this is making travel difficult. These folks were trying to make a political statement in how they designed these dorms. They were trying to make a political statement as to what kind of food they were offering. They were making a political statement as to the beds. At the end of the day, the one statement they could have made that would have helped everybody, they could have gone, hey, we've got a way to give affordable housing to people. We can set this up as a way to give affordable housing to people. The rooms can be set up, and then the cafeterias can be set up, and it can be all done in a amazingly good way. But no, what they've done is created an environment that is temporary. They spent billions to create things that are temporary instead of thinking about the long term. And so these Olympic athletes are going to go there. And let me tell you something. Some of these folks have never been to Paris before, I bet. And they're going to go there and they're going to get a bad impression of this nation. I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying these folks, at least Atlanta had some decent ideas. Heck, let's put them in Tennessee. Us rednecks love having folks around. We love showing off our cooking skills. But hey, this is the French. They got their own way. But I thought I'd talk about it a little bit, about the silliness that is going on there. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day and come back.